Happy Super Bowl Sunday, everybody. How you feeling? How you feeling, man? Big game coming up, obviously. Getting ready and geared up for that. Do me a favor, hit that like button, that little thumbs up you see, click that, punch that, slap that, do whatever you got to do. If you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. We're getting closer and closer to our next goal of 40,000 subscribers. And so we would greatly appreciate that. Also, for the folks who prefer podcasts and not necessarily YouTube, who are Apple people, Apple Podcasts, find us there, save us there, listen to us there. Also, the non-Apple folks like me, Spreaker.com. Go there. In my opinion, the best platform, especially for non-Apple folks, to listen to the podcast on. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Buckeyes in on multiple 5 stars on the recruiting trail. Really going in on these top players. We're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about its Ohio State position you in the NFL. We got the last game of the NFL season coming up in about an hour or so. And so great time to kind of highlight what our Buckeyes are doing in the league. So anyway, before we get into it, remember when you send those wonderful super chats, helps to go towards our Pay It Forward, which is our military and our first responders. We're going to look out for them because they always look out for us. Us meaning Nevada Buck and Dev from Buckeye Boys today. What's up, fellas? Always a pleasure to link up with y'all on Sundays for this panel. Nevada, what's up, brother?
I'm excited. Super Bowl Sunday starting here in, I guess, like 87 minutes, and we'll be. I promise we'll have you guys off before the kickoff. And I got to ask you, but I'm going to go right to you. Who you picking? Who you picking to win?
Dev, who you got first?
Who do I have? I got the Seahawks, man. I got the Seahawks winning this one, but obviously I don't pay that close attention to NFL football, but I got the Seahawks. Think they're more explosive, got a healthier defense, going to walk away with this one. Not saying I want them to, but I think they're going to. I want the Patriots to win because of Vrabel. But
see, that's where I'm at, Nevada. I got, like, if I put money on it, Seattle winning a close one, like I said the other day, by 3 to 6 points. But it's like I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm a Browns fan. I'm a Buckeye fan first. I don't really care just in general. But for the Buckeye factor, I would love to see Vrabel, Henderson. And isn't Thayer Munford, isn't he on the roster too, Nevada, for New England? I think.
Yes.
Yes.
He is.
And so either way, a Buckeye is going to win today, and that makes me happy. Nevada, who you got?
Well, the fact that you're boycotting the Super Bowl until the Browns win a Super Bowl, is that what you said there, B. Moses?
Boycott. I might as well just die. Just bury me with that picket sign. Just put it in my casket next to me.
I mean, like you missed a lot of good football there, B, man. You may want to break your hunger strike here at some point in time. But yeah, I mean, isn't it crazy the Browns? I mean, that the Patriots have been to 11 Super Bowls and the Browns have never been to one. I mean, the Patriots have won 7 times, and the Browns haven't even been there one time. I mean, it's really kind of pathetic. It's
Nevada,
pathetic.
that Patriots team, or most of the teams, am I thinking, was coached by the coach that was coaching them before they went there, Belichick. You know what I'm saying? Right? So
he was a bum. We had to get him out, run him out of town.
Get that bum out of here. Oh man, yeah, that's just.
Yeah,
it's what it is. But again, Nevada, for me, listen, I watch all football. I love NFL. I love college. But Ohio State football and college football is king for me. So I'm similar to you, Dev. It's like I watch NFL, but I'm not as engaged as I am with college football. I'm just not. And so to me, it's just like, I want to see some good ball tonight, festivities, whatever. But honestly, it's the Buckeye factor for me. That's what really rules the day for me, fellas.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I've got money on the Seahawks tonight.
Okay,
but I've also got money on Trey Henderson to have over 4.5 yards receiving. So I'm betting that he's going to catch it, at least one pass, and that is a prop. So
wow.
They don't play Trey, which is kind of confounding, and they don't throw it at Trey very often. But I'm betting that they do tonight. So we need him to have over 4.5 yards. We basically need to have him have 5 or more yards receiving.
So let me ask you something about that. What is your thinking? Are you thinking because they don't play him as much that they're going to play him a little bit to, I guess, because they wouldn't expect them to, for gamesmanship, not on the film that much. Is that kind of your angle?
Well, my angle is, I think that, Vrabel, Belichick used to do that all the time. He'd play like one running back, then he'd go completely with the other guy. And I also think that they're going to be behind. And if they're behind, they're going to have to be throwing. If they're going to be throwing, you're going to have your best running back in there. And Trey obviously, he's a ferocious pass blocker, great receiver, classic third down back. So I think if they get behind, they're more likely to have Trey Henderson in the offense. And I expect, all you got to do is just dump the ball down in one time, and I'm in the money.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like that. I didn't know they had little props like that. I'm not into it like y'all, but that's pretty cool. That seems like, I don't know. You tell me, as far as money wise, fellas. I was gonna say low risk, but I guess it depends on how much money you're putting on that prop to determine if it's a low risk, right?
Well, yeah. If you're betting $5, you're probably not sweating. If you're betting more than $5, you're probably screaming at the TV the whole time. So, or if you're like P. Moses, you're just not even watching because the Browns aren't in the Super Bowl. So you don't even care. You're watching the Puppy Bowl over again or something like that.
Do they still do that?
Listen,
I think they do have. I think they have them. I think the Puppy Bowl's still a thing, and I used to love that.
Oh no,
the Puppy Bowl.
I think there's a Puppy Bowl.
They used to. I don't know if they still have it, but like Nevada said, isn't it on at the same time as the Super Bowl too?
Well, they used to have it during the halftime, and they kind of moved it around at different times and stuff like that. But I think Puppy Bowl might have been earlier today on Animal Channel. But yeah, the Puppy Bowl is quite the spectacle.
Hey, B, I will say this on the gambling. I used to not, right? It's kind of Nevada and I would say Funky's fault that I'm now into gambling. I tried it out this year with the Ohio State Buckeyes, and it worked out very well, very, very well in my favor. So that's where I started. I don't do anything in the NFL, but I get on, here in Florida. I'm pretty stuck with the Hard Rock app. I use that, but then what's that one? Kalishi, what's it called? Nevada?
Kalshi.
That's the other one. I've been on that one a time or two as well. So, if you got the right people to listen to, it works out well.
So for sure, because I've been interested, maybe I should do it, but you would have to hold my hand through it to get me going. What the heck am I doing type thing? Real quick, David Bowman said the Puppy Bowl is on now.
I see. There we go. Go.
Yeah, so I guess I thought they put it up against the Super Bowl for a few years, which is just crazy. But yeah, interesting that it's still going on. And then Mark Swick said our Super Bowl as Browns fans was Myles Garrett breaking a sack record.
Yeah, that
was our Super Bowl.
Yeah. Hey, small victories, man. You got to take them wherever you can get them. Or, what we got to do? We got to bet in the prediction markets. You can bet all sorts of weird stuff, like how long the national anthem is going to be, or if there's somebody going to, a streaker on the field or anything like that. So what we do is we bet the streaker on the field, and then we get Devin to run out there and thing. Devin, we split the money with you 50-50.
Slam them.
Nah, it's 70-30 or it ain't happening.
Say Devin's going to put his Schlegel's hat on, his Schleg's hat on.
Run out there. Literally, that's what happened in the last Super Bowl. Some guy bet the prediction that somebody would run out in the field, and then he did it and paid it and paid for his fine. And there's all sorts of wacky. There's BMOs. You don't want to go down the rabbit hole of the wacky bets, man. There's just so many wacky bets. It's crazy.
I can't even imagine. But that guy. Clearly, and we're going to get to the 5 stars in a second, but that's intriguing that he did that. That was actually pretty smart. Now what he did was that wasn't a felony, was it?
I don't think I think it's a misdemeanor. I honestly don't know what it is. It's probably misdemeanor trespass or something like that. But
yeah, I've never been charged with a felony for doing it. I've always been charged misdemeanor.
Yeah, I was going to say it's felony, not a felony. Devin knows all the code. He's like, that's disturbing the peace, code number 138.64.
Oh man, that's funny. That is hilarious. Here, let me check my notes. Oh nope, that was not a misdemeanor when I got booked for that. No, that's funny. But what is a misdemeanor site? Now I was trying to draw up a segue that made sense, but it didn't. So whatever.
Yeah, I was
5 stars. Okay, listen, we're talking about 5 stars. Ohio State has been in it. Like, listen, it's not that we're saying Ohio State has never recruited 5 stars. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that there's a list, and Dev, I'm gonna pass the mic to you in a second so you can kind of dive in. But there's several top-rated 5-star guys that we visited. We just like visiting. It's like how can I put it? According to recruiting activity that we've been following all these years, to me, and Devin, you tell me if you agree, what they've been doing lately with this crop seems to be intentional or targeted, as opposed to just randomly visiting guys or depending on the schedules. You see what I'm saying? So dive into that. And I'm going to look at pulling up some film of some of the favorite guys that I appreciate on the list of who we've been visiting, Dev.
Well, it all kind of starts with the change of philosophy from the Buckeyes. We heard Mark Pantoni come on and talk about the first rounders in high school recruiting, and that they will go after them with all that they got. And it used to be that you would go after a couple in each class, but Ohio State has changed their philosophy, and it's if you are going to spend money on high school recruits, you need to get returns on your investment. So this class, they are most definitely going after way more of the top end recruits. They are visiting literally the number one player at every single position across the board has either visited or has been visited by the Buckeyes, and they are top 2, top 3, top 4. And Maxwell Hiller is the most recent one, the number 1 interior offensive lineman out of Pennsylvania. His second visit to the Buckeyes, just coming off of that, just put out a new list. We're in the top 4. So I think it all starts with a little bit of change of philosophy from the Buckeyes. You're going to see a little bit smaller class this year, but I think it's going to be a little bit more top heavy. And instead of paying for those, second day picks that Mark Pantoni talks him that you get in bidding wars they would rather get in bidding wars for the players that can make impacts, because then it makes sense to get in a bidding war the next year for them as well. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Hey, are these guys going to come on this roster? Are they going to take some of this cap from us, not even see the field, and not even have hope of seeing the field the next day? We've heard the Buckeyes going to this, but as we know, the Buckeyes kind of take their time, man. They like to make sure they're doing things the correct way, and ultimately, it's worked out. I mean, I would argue that the Ohio State has navigated the portal and the high school recruiting changes better than any team across the country. I mean, they are top at, acquiring the talent that they have. But as we get into the show, maybe different position groups I can bring up. You guys talked about Jalen Brewster, by the way. I have contact with him. He was on the show. I think you guys mentioned, man, his dad, Ohio State fan, Ohio State tattoo, way back in the day before he committed to Texas Tech. I mean, he was big on the Buckeyes, but Texas Tech threw that bag at him. That's just the truth. Well, guess what? Ohio State's throwing a bag now, and that's what we're dealing with now. They're going to throw those bags at players that can make impacts. David Jacobs, number 1 defensive end. He did not come cheap. The Buckeyes went out and got him. Why? Because they think he can make an impact fast. So their philosophy is a little bit different. You're going to see less of the day 2 guys. You're going to see less of the, ranked in the 200s, 300s, less of the hundreds as well. You're going to see more top 50, top 75 guys in this class, and then a lot of 3 stars. That's my opinion. That's the way it looks like they're taking this thing for the most part. But Nevada he might either share my thoughts or have a different thought on that matter.
Yeah. I was just about to ask Nevada what his reaction was to all of that, or what Dev is saying.
Well, Dev's spot on, and I think it's for Ohio State fans. They just got to kind of get used to this new reality, because it's going to be pretty profound. And it used to be, 5 stars, 4 stars in the class was mainly made up of the 4 stars. Now it's as Devin said, it's going to be a lot of 5 stars, a lot of borderline, high 4 stars, and then a bunch of 3 stars. And I think that's the way it's got to be, because out of necessity, recruiting now is almost exclusively a single year business, because you don't, as Devin said, you don't want to invest money in players that you invest money in the first year, invest money in the second year, invest money in the third year, and then they go off and play somewhere else, and you've got no return on your investment. So, they've got to, plant some trees and go for some stuff that's going to be developmental, but for the bigger players, it's got to be about, can that person play the 2026? Can that player help you? And I cannot stress how different this is for Ohio State recruiting than it's been in the past. This is a totally different world that we're getting into right now. And I think for Ohio State, it's they've navigated the waters better than anybody, or certainly as well as anybody has. But it's different. It's definitely it's a profound change in terms of a recruiting thing. They're going to go after the 5 stars. They're going to go after the best players at every single position. The question is, how successful are they going to be in terms of landing? I mean, I think that's an open book yet, because we don't really know how that story is going to be written. But for Ohio State fans, get ready, because as you're evaluating the class, you've just got to evaluate the class. It used to be, what were the total number of points, or what was the average star rating, or this and that.
Yeah.
But now, man, it's really going to be about those immediate producers. How many immediate producers can you get that can help you on the field for the next year, and then how many of your developmental players, how many of them are still on your roster 3 years from now? Those are going to be the two main criteria when you're looking at your teams, and you're looking at how successful a recruiting class was. That's what it's going to be about. It's going to be about those immediate impact guys, and how many are still. How many times did you strike out spending money on guys? Because that's what's going to kill you going forward in the NIL era, is investing money in guys that never see the field for you and then end up contributing somewhere else. The game's definitely changing.
Absolutely. Now, Nevada, and I want to show this clip of Maxwell Hiller just absolutely mauling people. But would you say, in summary, that this is yet another example of an adjustment by The Ohio State University with this whole landscape, Nevada?
Well, yeah, and I think Ohio State really beat people to the punch. That first year, the first big year, when the Caleb Downs, Julian Saint, Seth McLaughlin, Quinshawn Judkins, go down the list. I mean, it was an incredible move that they made, quicker and faster, and it was kind of a sudden thrust, much like Indiana's kind of done this year with the older team. And so I think Ohio State's continuing to figure out this thing. They've adjusted as well, and I think they've set ahead of the curve. They're certainly setting the standard. And for people complaining about money or NIL, tell you, business is good for Ohio State. The business of Ohio State football is in good hands. They're raising money. They're deploying capital smartly. Will they get everybody? Of course not. But they are as well positioned as any team in college football to take advantage of this new environment. And Ohio State continues to evolve. But I love the evolution, and I love the way they're approaching things.
Yeah, me too. And they, again, as we've always said, they always adjust. They always evolve. They always shift gears, y'all, through this landscape. There may seem like, oh, Michigan's doing this or whatever, but we always circle the wagons and get it going. But that was Maxwell Hiller, man. I was watching. You guys wanted nasty linemen that finish. You just saw about a minute and a half highlights of him finishing, not just defeating, his guy, but finishing him. So yeah, that kid, definitely get him here. Thoughts on Hiller specifically, and the possibility of bringing him here?
Yeah, Maxwell Hiller, he's going to be on the show this coming week. Actually, he's been on the show before. The beginning, the Buckeyes got in real early with him. Then it kind of flipped to Penn State, obviously with James Franklin. Then those changes have been made, and since those changes, it's kind of flopped back to, hey, Tennessee's involved here, Alabama's involved here, Ohio State's involved here. And the Buckeyes have had him at the top of their list for quite some time now. So I could see the Buckeyes have filled the offensive line class with very good offensive linemen, but they're exactly what we're talking about. There are the developmental kids from Ohio on the offensive line. Now they're going to go out and attack for some Sam Greers, some Maxwell Rileys, and Maxwell Hiller is at the top of that list. The next one at the top of that list is Mark Matthews out of St. Thomas Aquinas. I went and watched him play as a junior. The dude is an absolute freak show. He's the number one offensive tackle in the nation. The Buckeyes have been to visit him twice so far. And he's one of those, he's a Sam Greer type of tackle in this class. We'll see how his senior year goes, but right, you see the Buckeyes doing that with Caden Moss as well, the number 15 player in the nation. So they are going after. There's another one in there somewhere. I'm trying to get his name down here. I can't figure his name out. There's too many names on my list, but either way, they're going after like the top of the line offensive tackles. They've filled the bottom half of the offensive line class already, so they are going after the top end. And Maxwell Hiller, he's either number one or number two. I think Mark Matthews is probably number one on their list. Then it would probably go Maxwell Hiller.
Yeah, he's a stud. I love it. I definitely love it. And I want to have an excuse to pull up, and I am going to pull up David Gabriel George's huddle film, who is another back that another player, I should say, that I just love. And to me, and you tell me if I'm just missing this, Devin Nevada. To me, it seems like the guys like Hyder and who's the other kid? I forget, the big time 5-star. It seems like those names get more buzz and more action and more reaction than David Gabriel George's does. And to me, he doesn't take a back seat to any of them. So do you agree? Do you think DGG is still not quite as heralded by some people as like a Savion Hyder, for example, Dev?
I see what you're talking about from a national perspective. Keemon Spell has been more involved in his recruitment.
That's him.
Yeah. He's been more, out in the open about his recruitment, wanting to talk to people, going to camps. David Gabriel Georges is not that type. He is hey, I'm just trying to play football. I'm just trying to be the best football player I can. And as you know, today's recruiting industry is so wild, right, that those things matter, guys, right? I'm going to talk about something here in just a little bit, too, that was kind of eye-opening to me about how much recruiting rankings and going to camps and all these affect players' rankings. But David Gabriel Georges is the best running back in the country. When you get into these star rankings, especially now, since your star rankings can determine your NIL packages that schools offer. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but it definitely does. The stars that you have will change the amount of money that you get from schools. It's happening right now. Therefore, these recruiting services that have the ability to change your rankings, they have the ability to change what you get paid. It's kind of getting wild out there, but David Gabriel Georges is the best running back in the nation, and at least in my opinion. But he's just more of a quiet, just playing football, kind of fits the Ohio State culture a little bit better, in my opinion.
Yeah, Nevada. Listen, I know you've had the goods and the connections to DGG for a while. First of all, how do you feel currently about getting DGG? Is it still sounding great? And then what's your thoughts on him and what Dev said about him being the best back in the country? And like I said, to me, nationally, it doesn't seem like he's getting the buzz like a Savion Hyder got or the Spell got. What you think?
Well, yeah, no, I think, look, I can tell you this. Ohio State feels like he's the best back in the country. And they feel like he was so good, they were willing to overlook other guys in other recruiting cycles because they believe they're getting him. I think, you never say never in the NIL era with recruiting anymore, but this is about as close to a lock as you're going to get with Ohio State and DGG. And he reminds me of like Ezekiel Elliott, and Hyder reminds me of Derek Green. And I just think that I think this is a guy. I mean, I felt that way. I felt that way since I first saw both of them. And Ohio State had a chance with Hyder. They backed off of because they really think that the DGG is the truth. And I agree. And whether Spell or Hyder got more love, or maybe it's just because they're 2026 kids or whatever. But I think when all's said and done at the end of their college career, David's going to have the best career of any of them. And I think he's a very, very special back. He's different than anybody we've gotten in the last few cycles. And I definitely think he's going to turn out to be a Buckeye, and I think he's going to be an exceptional player at the college level.
Yeah, yeah, I love this kid. I mean, that Ezekiel Elliott, Derek Green, comp, Nevada, brother. First of all, let me back up, Dev. Do you recall that recruitment at all? Like, do you recall any of that? Okay, I know you said you were
Nope.
kind of not into it back then.
Yeah, it was in
Derek Green
not
was a
big things.
5-star from Virginia. I mean, he was the type of guy, Nevada, and Nevada will confirm. He's the guy who gets off the bus first. Like, as far as like, he was physically, he looked the part, bro. But his competition down there was dookie. This is something me and my homeboys in our group chat, and I hope y'all listening right now. We had a whole thing about this, fellas. We were talking like, man, this Derek Green, he's really not that good. And he ended up going to Michigan. But we were in on him, just like Hyder and all that. But Ezekiel Elliott, we were just like, man, this kid is he just seems grittier, better, just better. And so I don't know. We were all right about that, Nevada. For those who were like, because there was some dev that were like, man, Derek Green, he's the 5-star. We want him. Like, no, like,
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott is better. He's better. And Ezekiel Elliott, Dev, I don't think he ever topped out as a 5-star. I think he ended up being a high 4.
He didn't.
But he started off a 3. And that was evaluation by Urban Meyer and his staff to find Zeke Elliott out of Missouri and say, no, this is the better kid over this big, physically imposing looking 5-star Derek Green, bro. That's an amazing comp, Nevada. Because really what you're doing, Nevada, is I think you're right as far as on the surface, but boy, if Hyder ends up being like Derek Green, good Lord, you talk about a bust. Whoever wants to react, Nevada.
Well,
this is the perfect.
I'm sorry, but I don't know if Hyder will be a bust. I do believe with everything in my being that DGG is going to end up being a better player, though. So we'll see. Sorry to interrupt you there, Dev.
Oh, you're good. This is just the perfect time for me to bring up something I was going to bring up, because there's another side to this. You might have 2 players that are comparable on the field as running backs. Not in this case. I don't believe Savion Hyder is in David Gabriel George's. I don't believe they're in the same. They could be, but either way, Pete Nakos recently wrote an article, right? And he wrote that some of these GMs were talking about recruiting. And he said, one of the GMs said, we had kids ask for signing bonus, flight stipends, jersey number choice guarantees, insurance policy, loss of home and disability, vehicle stipend, stipend for rental house, award campaign, push money, preferred walk-on spot for my best friend, tickets to home and away games, and field passes for an agent. Okay? That was a player at Michigan. Michigan gave that player all of those things for him to come there. Okay? So while we're looking and diagnosing players and how they play on the field, there's another aspect to this recruiting game that is becoming more and more prevalent, and it is that side. What is your makeup? What do you want? That's why Mark Pantoni said, now, instead of trying to get to know you as a person, as a high school recruit, our first question is, who's your agent and how important is NIL to you? If they don't get past those 2 questions, there's no more conversation. It's not going to happen. There's your difference right there on why Ohio State is going after DGG way more. I mean, that's just a little bit of a breakdown. That was a pretty long list. And that is, schools are granting some of these insane lists that players have, especially desperate schools that really suck at football.
Yeah, bro. And I want you to get to your what you wanted to rant about with a recruit, but I have to react to that. When I saw that earlier, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And then you rounded it out by saying it was Michigan. But again, an intrinsic, what up, bro? I'm going to holler at you later about this, because I don't know if you made a post about this, but if you haven't, you probably will, because that's just, we talked about the desperation of them overpaying kids. Again, even early on, Nevada, how some of our fans were whining, and, we're penny pinching. And listen, man, let this stuff play out. And number 2, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes unless you get information like we sometimes do to reveal what's going on, it's just like you're just whining on social media with your monopoly money mindset. Some of this stuff going on behind the scenes is absolutely crazy. And yes, I am going to want my program to say no to goofies like that who ask for all that stuff. No. Anyway, anybody want to respond to that before we move on? Nevada?
Well, I just, look, I've got a background in the entertainment business, as you guys know. So, you always talk about those dressing room requests and the writers that kind of go along, and the actors and actresses are famous for that stuff. But now that stuff's becoming a real thing in sports. And Devin just basically just read you what was a guy's request, his writer for the thing, and if you're a program like Michigan and you're granting this stuff, you may think it's not a big deal, but every time you do this, man, it erodes your culture just a little bit. It's just like a drip, drip, drip. And because guys find out about it, guys know about it, guys hear about it. And, look, NIL's great and all these things are great, but it can be used as a weapon too. And, I won't name the player, but Devin can if he wants to. But Devin telling the story about the player like blowing the whistle on how much money he's getting on NIL and how somebody else should ask for more. And so, like those, and Devin, I won't blow your thing. Like, so you can tell that story if you want to, or if you don't want to, but like, that's the new world we're in right now. So you've got to be, when you put something out to guys, it's almost like you have to have transparency, because you have to assume everybody's going to eventually find out about what they're getting. And when Michigan's out there granting these crazy requests, well, you know what? Get ready for the next one, because the next one's going to be even more crazy, and they're going to keep pushing on the envelope until you finally have the balls to say no. And I'm just not sure Michigan does, because they are kind of a broken program right now that's desperate to do anything to do it, but I think they're killing themselves in the meantime.
Agreed. Yeah, Dev, did you want to go into what Nevada said?
Yeah, I do, because I got told this early on. I did not want to report on this, but it's being reported on by On3 and other places as well. But it's just an example of why Ohio State now has to treat this recruiting process the way that they do. This is why they have to let kids go. This is why, right, when us fans get so upset about things, these are some behind the scene things that we aren't aware of. And I'll approach it like this. On3 is reporting that when Caden Dixon Wyatt decided he was going to leave this class, he went to Jaquaden Guilford, told Jaquaden Guilford how much he was being paid, which then made Jaquaden Guilford upset and mad, and went back to Ohio State to be like, hey, man, you're paying this, that. So this just goes to show you how much power these kids can have in this recruiting game. And I'm sure that goes on all across the nation. I'm not saying what players are getting paid, is a huge secret. And I have no idea if it was done out of any type of resentment or anything like that. All I know is that it's being reported that it happened. And that's the type of power, right, that, kids can have in this game. And as an organization, as Ohio State, you have to be able to monitor that. You have to be able to control that. You don't want people like that inside of the rooms. For the ones that would do that maliciously, you've got to be careful in that, because it can be a ticking time bomb. You know what I mean? We're dealing with teenagers here, right? With some associate their worth with money, because that's what the industry is going towards. And that's a dangerous thing, especially with teenagers. And I'm sure that's not the first time it happened, but it is the first time it's being openly reported by several people at this point in time. It's just kind of a wild world that there's so many variables now in recruiting that you got to be careful, man. You just have to be so careful. And I feel for Mark Pantoni and Ohio State, what Ohio State's been able to do, the more you find out about what is going on, the more, the more amazing it gets that Ohio State is able to bring in 5 stars without all of this extra. You know what I mean? It's pretty wild.
Nevada, I want to hear your response. Well, I have a question for you based off what Dev said. Actually, for both y'all. But Nevada, I know what but just you doing this for so long, and just knowing people behind the scenes that are in position, like agents, all that stuff. What can Ohio State do, if anything, to prevent something like this, or to even curtail something like this? right? Is there anything that can be done? Because that is kind of, I don't know what his motive was, but it's just like, come on, man. That's not really a good move. Nevada, what you got?
Well, you just look. You just have to be. You have to be willing. I always say you have to be willing to say something to somebody's face that you say behind their back. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's like with this, you just have to be ready to defend all your decisions, assuming that anything you put out is going to get public. And I just think that's a good way. That's a good philosophy to operate by. And I think it serves as kind of an internal governor on your activities so that you don't do anything wacky. Because if you don't, if you're afraid of disclosure on something, you're probably doing something wrong, or you're probably doing something that's not, in the best interest of everybody involved. And if you've got reasons to pay somebody else more, you better be ready to defend them. Because I think at some point you're going to have to do that and have those difficult conversations. And if it ends up ticking somebody else off, well, then they probably weren't the right fix, in the meantime. So I just think it's all about, having you have to have internal integrity in terms of this. That you have to have reasons behind it, and you have to really believe what you're saying. And if you do, and you can say that in front of other people, these things take care of themselves.
Yeah, Dev, what you got on that?
No, yeah, I mean that's it right there. You just have to be, open and honest about the situation that you're in, and be straight up with these players. And if they can handle it, they can handle it. If they can't, because here's what you risk doing. If you risk trying to talk a player into, what I mean, staying, or talk a player into taking, or any type of thing, you have to renegotiate every single year. You know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
problem's not going to get better if you have to negotiate, right, and keep upping your offer just to get them on campus. If you have to agree to a flight stipend and a preferred walk-on for their best friend, and you accept those things, I mean, what's next? What about next year? What if they get on the field as a freshman and rush for 1,000 yards, have 10 sacks? Are they going to ask for a coaching position for their dad, and you're going to agree to it? I mean, where are we
Yeah.
stopping here? Where are we going to stop? So I don't know if I went the right direction there, but it was what was on my mind. So it's what I said.
It's whatever on your mind. I mean, but listen, what you just said, low key has already happened. Coaches, didn't Michigan hire Nevada? Didn't Michigan hire somebody to get a kid, somebody's dad to coach, or something like that, right?
Well, I mean, they've done that a bunch of times. They've been doing it obviously with high school coaches. Like the high
Right.
school coach for the. I mean, they've been doing that stuff for years. But getting girlfriends jobs and it's just a slippery slope, man. And it's you go start going down that road, and where does it end? And no, let me tell you where it ends. It ends up with your head coach impregnating his executive assistant allegedly, and then having strong arming the local sandwich place to name the egg white omelet after her or whatever the heck that was. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? Like,
Oh
I
man.
mean, like you wonder how that stuff happens, but that literally that's the end result. That's the where you're in this crazy train of just whatever goes, because you're just so desperate to win. And the worst thing that ever happened to Michigan was Sharon Moore winning that game in 2024. I'm telling you,
Mm,
because that was the thing that spurred Ohio State on to win the national championship, and that was the thing that convinced Sharon Moore that he was actually a good football coach. And it ended up in the dumpster fire where they ended up because they couldn't fire him because people were still believing that the guy could coach, and he was a joke. He was always a joke, but he managed to pull one out of his booty that time. And you know, hey, it's funny. It's funny. The world's a circle, but Michigan's a broken program. I'm telling you, they are a broken program. And to me, it's a really open question whether Kyle Whittingham is going to have the internal fortitude and have the longevity to be able to turn it around. Because I think the answer on both those things, no. Because I think he's a short term solution, and I think it's going to be up to the next guy, and we don't even know who the next guy is going to be.
yeah. I agree. We said that from the beginning. We said even before Whittingham was hired, when we were hearing that he was, in the catbird seat, we both said, and I think even Dev agreed on his show, is that we're not saying Whittingham is not a good coach, and we're not saying he's not a good guy. We thought that they brought him in as a temporary solution to get a good guy with a good reputation, who kind of fits what they like to do into this program to hopefully separate themselves from the Harbaugh stench era, or the era of the Harbaugh stench, I should say, and kind of go from there. But Michigan fans now, they just get so upset when you say that. Like, they think it's so funny how Michigan fans are. First of all, they know that wasn't their first choice. And so that they treat it as if, oh, this is our guy, this is our the Portnoys and the fans. This is our first choice, and he's our guy. He's going to come in Columbus next year and all this other crap. Listen, Whittingham was about to be done with coaching, okay? Also, he's coming from Utah in that bubble, that community. It's a different animal coming out of that Utah community, going to the cesspool that is Ann Arbor that still needs to be cleaned up. And guess what? Fat Ward Manuel's still there. There's still things going on. So it's just like, okay, whatever. We like Whittingham as a man. He has a good reputation, track record. We think he's a good coach, but a long-term solution, we still don't agree with that. But anything on that before we kind of transition to the Position U segment of the podcast?
Yeah, I would agree with that, right? That it is definitely a temporary solution, because let's not act like the only issues coming out of Michigan University was in the football program. All right. It's all over the place.
Right.
Spiro's talking about, new stuff coming out on the basketball team as well right now. Still, I even think it goes further than Ward Manuel. I think you can get rid of him and you're still going to be dealing with these issues. So until they have a change, whoever's hiring Ward Manuel, whoever, isn't it a board? Isn't it an elected board? I don't know. I shouldn't even have said that because I have no idea. But, that's what I think. It was temporary. If they really wanted to address these things, it would start from the top down, not from the bottom up. You know what I mean? But that's my opinion.
Yeah, Nevada, I think you was about to chime in. You got something on that?
No, look, I think people just forget that there's an ongoing investigation going on of the entire, an internal investigation. And, when that gets released, that's going to be, fodder for many, many podcasts, because even though I know that they're going to get the result that they want, there'll be some juicy stuff in there. And, until they fix that, the program's never going to get fixed. So the first domino, and it's a big fat domino, is the Ward Manuel. He's got to fall. But once he does, maybe they can start cleaning it up.
Yeah, good point. Again, I kind of lose track of it, but it's there. It's happening, and it's going to break, and it'll definitely be fodder, and we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, man. What's up?
But just before you moved on, I had one more stat about the recruiting stuff. I don't know if Position U, the next segment, if we can talk about that there. You want me to mention it now? You let me know.
Go ahead and mention it now, then we can segue right into the Position U.
Gotcha. So out of the top 4, so I'm using Rivals industry ranking. Rivals has the biggest staff of all these, recruiting industries anymore. So that's what I'm using. Out of the top 46 players in the country right now, Ohio State is top 4 with 6 of them. Top 4 with 6 of them. Top 3 with 4 players. Top 2 of those are for 5 players, and 2 of them are committed. And that's just your top 46. So you're talking about 21 of the top 46 players in the country. Ohio State is in their top 4 as of this year, which is about double what we're used to seeing.
That's strange, Dev, because to me, with that stat, hearing that stat, it's just like, put it like this, if you were just in a Twitter or AKA X bubble your whole life, you would think that we just were behind on recruiting in general. Like we're just chasing, we're behind, we're penny pinching, we just can't get it right. Ross Bjork. And it's just like, when you hear stats like that, it's just like, wow. Now, I know that, we're always going to do what we do. We just finished with the number 3 overall composite class after all of the noise. But that right there is another great, great stat that I think really puts a blow to the Chicken Little, sky is falling with what we're doing in this new landscape, type of people. So that's good stuff. So with that said, I'm actually going to share my screen, and just so the list comes up, I found a nice site that shows all the Ohio State NFL players by team. And I wanted to talk about this because Nevada, he made a comment the other day on the pod where he was talking about Ohio State is position U. And I kind of laughed and, but I was like, hey, that's probably low key true. Now, we're tied for second with Georgia for the most players in the NFL, 57. And Bama is number 1 right now. But, I mean, we have a vast list. Here's the key. We've been very, very deep in all positions for a long time. But the quarterback position, like Nevada said the other day, Dev, is like, even with that, now we're starting to push those guys out. And listen, two things I want to talk about. Let's talk about the quarterback position real quick before we get to anything else, if y'all don't mind, because this has always annoyed me. First of all, in my opinion, there is no quarterback U. Ain't no quarterback U. And I'm saying that because people, are haters. Like, well, you don't have any quarterbacks. You dominate the league with the NFL, but your quarterback, you don't have any quarterbacks. Okay. And now CJ Stroud, didn't have the greatest performance in his last playoff game, but he's a playoff quarterback. He's won playoff games. Okay. He's doing well in the NFL in his what is his third or fourth year? So, Will Howard just got drafted. Justin Fields, in my opinion, no, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's the greatest thing, but I feel like he's had some tough breaks in some tough organizations, and things could have went a different way depending on whatever. The point is, we're putting quarterbacks in the league, and so now even that we've gotten production out of that position. Playoff wins is production. So now, per Nevada's point, it's just like, man, we got every base covered. You look at this list. And by the way, look at the Arizona Cardinals. Good Lord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Buckeyes. And then also, Nevada, when I saw this great, because it's one thing when you think about something, but when you see it in writing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Buckeyes with the Browns. I'm highlighting that because I know the Browns, including for me, have gotten a lot of flack for not really going after more Buckeyes like the Steelers have traditionally, for example. But we got a lot of Buckeyes now that you take a closer look and really like, with the Browns. But anyway, any reactions to the quarterback comments? Let's start with you, Nevada, on this whole position you think, starting with the quarterbacks.
Well, one, obviously, rest his soul, we'd have another Dwayne Haskins, hadn't had his untimely end.
Yes.
2, do we claim Joe Burrow, or do we not get any credit for Joe Burrow? Does Joe Burrow, can we
you want me to respond to that real quick?
Yeah, I'm being a little facetious, but hey Joe, we love you.
Yeah, I'll quickly respond. I'm not going to. This is how I put it. Joe Burrow. I'm not going to claim Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow claims us. And he went on in the Heisman ceremony and on the record. I made a post a couple years ago, Nevada, about Joe Burrow, and really just laid everything out as far as his career, Ohio State, LSU, and all that Izzy R stuff. But the point is, he claims us. I'm not going to go around saying, oh, Joe Burrow. I'm not going to do that. But he says that Ohio State and Ryan Day was a pivotal, critical part of his journey as a quarterback. So I'll just leave it at that, Nevada. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, I love that. But I love seeing that many Ohio State Buckeyes and the Browns. I mean, they went years and had no Ohio State players on the team. I did not understand it. I've said many times, if the Browns had just drafted the best Buckeye available in every draft for the past 10 years, what their team would be like. They have a way more productive team than they have now. And so I think, the fact that they're, given an Ohio feel for their team, I just think it makes sense. I've never understood why they didn't do it. I mean, it had to be a choice because they went almost 20 years where they would have like almost no Ohio State players on the team.
Crazy.
And now they have 7. So that's probably, of all the news about this whole thing, that's probably the best news of this entire thing is seven Buckeyes on the Browns roster. I did not know that. And 2, that makes me very, very happy.
Yep, and currently more than the Steelers right now, which is very, very new. But Dev, what's your thoughts on what I said about the quarterback and everything Nevada said? Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, bro?
I mean, yeah, I understand so from 2021 to 2025, Ohio State is 13th in the NFL for quarterback production, right? And I don't get too much in the NFL, as people would know, but from sitting back, I think a lot of the NFL is, hey, what team are you getting right drafted to? Who are you
Yeah,
surrounded by? So there's a lot more things that have to come together versus when if you're a good quarterback in college, those things still matter. But I would say those things get heightened by a lot once you're in the NFL. Right, if you're not going up against, if you don't have the correct offensive line, wide receivers, scheme, coach, organization at the top, it could really damage right you as a quarterback. I mean, how many times do we see quarterbacks? What is it, Sam Darnold or whatever? Did anybody ever think he's playing in the Super
right.
Bowl? You know what I mean? So things change so much with quarterbacks. I think it's really hard to get a grasp on those. But CJ Stroud, I mean, talked about as a pretty darn good quarterback, but the Buckeyes continue to churn out, especially Ryan Day, obviously turns out very good quarterbacks. But when you get to the NFL, man, there's a lot of variables that can change those things.
No, for sure. I think that definitely matters where you go, what system you're in, what coach you're with, and Nevada. Yeah, thank you for shouting out Haskins, man. I don't think he was done. I know he had his issues, as far as just adjusting to the league and just all of that. But man, I think he had a future. He was really good. He was great here in his short time that he was here playing. But man, that's just a whole nother story. But yeah, R.I.P. Dwayne Haskins for sure. But looking at
Well, I
this
mean,
list,
just
go
making
ahead.
a point on that. I mean, yeah, I mean, look at Sam Darnold's career. You know what I'm saying? Sam
Yeah,
Darnold's career was kind of over multiple times with, like, I don't know how many teams cut him, but and now he's in the Super Bowl. And Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield was
yeah.
released by Carolina. Baker Mayfield was released by the Browns. Baker Mayfield was released by the Rams. And now Baker's a really good quarterback with Tampa Bay. So yeah, the story on Dwayne Haskins' depth absolutely had not been written yet, for sure. He had a lot of good football ahead of him. God rest his soul. And it's a real shame what happened to him. But I digress. Yeah, quarterbacks sometimes they can take a circuitous route, man. Darnold, people thought he was a bum, and now might be
Yeah.
the best quarterback going in football right now.
Crazy. No, I'm glad you said that because again, that's my point. What Nevada's saying with Haskins, people giving up on him. I really feel like he still could have turned a corner. I mean, because some guys develop differently and mentally and like mature wise, all that stuff. And Haskins, man, I think he had a chance. It is so unfortunate what happened to him, man. It sucks, but that's a great point. So I'm looking at the positions, y'all. So it's just like I'm looking at this list, and there's not a position that we're not very well represented. Obviously, everyone knows receiver. Real quick, guys, as we look at this list, and we'll get to super chats and wrap up here shortly, coming up on an hour. But Noah Brown, Dev, do you remember Noah Brown at Ohio State?
A little
You
bit.
ever- A little bit. Okay, yeah. So Nevada, like really quickly, we talked about how we knew JSN was good, but didn't know he was going to be that good, etc. Noah Brown, obviously, he had the great catch against Oklahoma, where behind the kid's back. And I mean, he was a good receiver here. But did you think he would stick in the league this long, Nevada?
Well, I remember you remember he was an early entrant to the league. He left early
Yeah.
from Ohio State to go,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, welcome to the CFL." There, no,
Right. Me too. I was
we're
like, what are
never.
you doing?
What are you doing, dude? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But yeah. So no, the answer is a resounding no. No, I had no idea he was that good. He stuck around that long. He's been that productive. Um, and yeah, so you look, you never know coming. I always say you never know on recruits coming out of high school. That's why I'm excited about every. Look, you don't even know when they're coming out of college who's going to be the good ones, because sometimes good ones don't pan out, and sometimes players go from good to great and never saw it coming.
Yeah, for sure. And real quick, another position I want to talk to y'all about as I'm looking through here that just amazes me. First of all, I'm sorry. I don't want to get off track, but Tanner McAllister is still on a roster.
Yeah,
That
no.
That's amazing to me.
Well, people gave him a lot of crap, man. People, like,
Yeah.
oh, he's the worst player, and how could Jim Knowles bring that guy over here, and blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying, like that. And like, still in the NFL, man. So come on. He's
Yeah.
kind of like he's kind of like the Donnie Nicky of his age. Remember Donnie Nicky at Ohio
Yes, I
State?
remember
He
Donnie
took
Nicky.
he took so much garbage from it, and then he went to play in the NFL for like 12 years or something like that. I mean,
Yeah, he did.
Donnie
Oh man,
Nicky.
yes,
Oh,
that's Donnie Nicky. I can remember Keith. Keith. Why am I forgetting his name? The announcer, Jackson.
Keith Jackson. Yeah.
Donnie Nicky. I can remember him saying his name like that. But the position, what I was going to talk to you about is funny how our fans and even haters. Well, y'all the tight end. You're going to go to the Ohio State and die as a tight end. They don't throw the ball to the tight end. But guess what? We've like churned out the tight ends. Luke Farrell, who was an absolute dog as a blocking tight end here, still in the league. Okay. You got Jeremy Ruckert, obviously, with the Jets. Pretty good tight end. Nick Vannett, who was really good here. Shout out to Westerville Central High School here in the Columbus area. Nick Vannett was a part of that 2014 national championship team. Really good player. And obviously Kate Stover with the Texans. And we've had others that have now fallen out of the league, like Jeff Hireman, who was really good. We've churned out some tight ends, man, as I'm just looking at the full picture, because we're known more for wide receiver, DBs, defensive line, and stuff like that. But for us to not use the tight end as much as we don't use them, we've churned out some good ones, Nevada, into the league. And Dev, what y'all think?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Dev. No, Dev, you're first.
Yeah, no, the tight end stuff, there's definitely been some good ones back in the day. But what I thought you were about to say, honestly, is with what the fans, the way that they've been talking about Larry Johnson and wanting him to get out of here, right? From 2021 to 2025, guess who has the most production by college at the defensive line in the NFL?
Not Larry Johnson. It can't be.
Oh, yeah. It's Ohio State's number one, baby. Ohio State has the most defensive line production in the NFL from 2021 to 2025. And from the year 2000, they're second in sacks. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have much on the tight end position to go back in the day like y'all can on those things. So don't have much to say there. Haven't been, we've been steady putting tight ends in there, but you got teams like Penn State that take that role of the tight end as far as the NFL, but we got Buckeye tight ends in the NFL all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, that's just kind of something I was probably going to get to maybe, but thank you for getting to that, because again, it's just another example of how y'all are some idiots who want Larry Johnson out of here. It's just weird. You're a weirdo. It's the same recycled stuff. We miss out on the recruit. Here comes Twitter. Oh, fire him. Like, what are you talking about? And then once again, 5 years later, 7 years later, now we got kids like Jalen Brewster. Like, oh yeah, that guy, I want to play for him. You know what I'm saying? It's like an old hat now. It's death, taxes, and fire Larry Johnson because I'm an idiot. Takes. So anyway, Nevada, you got anything on that with Larry Johnson before we move on?
Well, I won't go on the Larry Johnson thing, but because that one, yeah, you know my feelings on that. But this is completely kind of an aside, but it's amazing to me that Iowa puts out as many good tight ends as they do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
yeah.
Because
yes.
Because none of those kids are coming to Iowa that are highly regarded. And you're like, how can they put out so many good tight ends? That to me is just crazy. And we could do a whole podcast on that, but I just find it so bizarre that a little program like that's not really known for their offensive football. They're not getting great recruits. They get these kids, they can put these all pro tight ends all the time up there at Iowa. And I just found that kind of weird.
They're actually number one from the year 2021. Iowa is the number one tight end production in the NFL.
Crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
You know what it is, Nevada? And this might hit Dev with the young guy didn't remember this stuff thing, or revealing I'm the old guy. How about that? I'm the old guy. You know what it is, Nevada? It's the Hayden Fry effect. Wasn't that his name? The coach, the classic coach
When-
for
Well, when he used to have the stand-up tight ends there on the end of the
Yes,
line, and stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of made it kind of a glamorous position. It was kind of an no, he did, and if
He
that's what it is, then there's no question that Hayden Fry put the tight ends at Iowa in different spots than anybody else did at the time. But maybe we're going to be tight end you because we use 9 of them on the field at a time.
Hey, maybe so.
Changing.
Maybe so, man. That is funny. But don't say that though. The Arthur Smith haters, they're gonna be extra triggered. See, I told you Jeremiah Smith should transfer. Like, just don't get them riled up. But real quick, that Hayden Fry, I never thought of much of Iowa, but I was always enchanted as a young fella watching Iowa's Dev. If you even care for 2 seconds, go to YouTube and type in Iowa stand-up tight end. He used to bring his tight ends to the line. I remember they used to have their hands on their hips. Remember, Nevada? Sometimes they would just stand regular, but then sometimes they would just stand there at the line with their hands on their hips and then go. And then they would just go and they would block or whatever. And anyway, very, very interesting.
At the time, that was very breakthrough. That was like,
yes,
like that was like, like man landing on the moon or something. It was pretty crazy.
It was crazy.
See, you guys are saying that now, and I'm having flashbacks to our red zone, so I'm not placing positive things next to what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, no. The difference was his stuff worked. Our stuff doesn't work.
Gotcha. Hey,
right.
Hey, another. But I got to mention this as well. Since the year 2000, guess what college has the most interceptions in the NFL?
Buckeyes.
The Ohio State Buckeyes. We are 4th at corner production from 21 to 25. But yeah, dude, the list is pretty much the only ones we're not top 10 is tight ends. I mean, on all these other position groups, you go look at the charts.
Kickers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
kickers.
My bad. Yeah, we're actually dead last on kickers.
I was going to say kickers, yeah.
And as much maligned as our offensive line has been over the years, according to some fans, we've put out some really good linemen.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we've Pro Bowlers, Hall of Famers. I mean, centers. We could low-key be center you if you look at, we have – it's just the point is we them boys as far as when it comes to putting cats in the NFL at every position now. And that's really the point, and it's not stopping. We can do a whole nother show as we get to these super chats and finish out. We could do a whole nother show, and we may on the upcoming draft. No, we are. That's going to happen with the projected early draftees for Ohio State is going to be crazy again, fellas. So it's not stopping no time soon. So there's that.
Yeah,
but go ahead, brother.
We were number 2 this year in NFL production per college. Alabama was the only team ahead of us, and that's still the Nick Saban effect. But
right,
Buckeyes were number 2 this year in the NFL.
Yep. Would you look at that? Nevada, did you have something on that before we get to these chats, super chats?
Nope. Let's get the super chats before so I can get back to the fourth quarter of the Puppy Bowl, man. I'm missing it right
now. Oh, man, that is just insane. I might just turn it on too just for kicks and giggles. Why not? Stilly Matt, thanks for the 199. The press conference boys, Billy D, Dev, and Nevada. I remember the first time I mentioned that, press conference boys. I don't know why I posed like this. It was weird, but yeah, we like watching press conferences and stuff. But always great linking up with these dudes, man. Dev and Nevada. Stilly Matt again, thanks for the 199. Shout out all the Scoop ladies. Y'all are awesome. Yes, Scoop ladies, shout out. Hope you're doing well. I see y'all in the chat doing y'all's thing. I'm scrolling through now, conversing. When stars align, what's up, homie? I see you in the chat cooking per usual. We appreciate y'all. And real quick, I almost forgot. Let me give y'all an update on my hot chocolate. So, look, Stilly, Matt.
Donde está los chocolates de Stilly Matt?
So, listen, my Mick Stevens hot chocolate, Amazon, I don't know if it's the weather. They still haven't delivered it yet. It should be coming today. Last time my app said between 5:45 and 7:45, whatever. But I haven't done my test yet. But I did cop this from Kroger. Per Stilly Matt's recommendation, this is Mexican hot chocolate. It's supposed to be elite. So we going to see. I wanted to show y'all this. But anyway, yeah. for those who ain't been watching the show, we've been on some hot chocolate type stuff because I got rebuked by Nevada Buck for allowing my kids to drink Swiss Miss hot chocolate, which apparently is just like the worst of the worst ever.
Is that how this started?
This is how this started.
Dude, that's good, Nevada. That is good hot chocolate, bro.
Oh my God. Oh my God. No. Oh no.
So,
don't go to Devin for hot chocolate recommendations. I've thought it.
So hold on. Let me tell you really, really quickly. We got one more chat left and we're gonna bang out. Good. My son, my ornery son, God bless him. Happy birthday. He just turned 10 this weekend. Had a big bash for him. It was great. But a few days ago, he came down. Like, okay, you see where I'm at right now, right? There's the opening to my little man cave right there. He came in a little doorway and held up, Dev. He held up a Swiss Miss packet. And he's like, can I have some hot chocolate? Right? And I'm just like, I'm live on air. Why aren't you asking your mama? All right, first of all, but
yeah.
So that was where it started. And then I mentioned Swiss Miss, and then lo and behold, Nevada Buck just he tore his garments and he was
you're
upset.
Learning, but you learned. You're having some quality hot chocolate now. Donde están los chocolates? How the chocolate muy bueno? Yeah,
look at that.
See.
Yeah. So I'm excited, and so that's how it started, Dev. The whole back and forth of what hot chocolates am I going to pivot to now to improve my household. And so McStevens, I'm gonna try this Starbucks, and then when stars align, she blessed me with a s'mores hot chocolate from the Cheesecake Factory a few days ago, which was amazing. So,
dude, there's got to be some type of really good Irish hot chocolate. There's got to be.
You said, oh yeah. If can you find it for me? I will certainly try
I'm going to find it.
Just find it. But yeah, again, Ryan Day's disgust always tickles me.
Look at this, dude.
He's just like, Swiss Miss? Are you serious, son? Hey, yo, son, are you serious right now, son?
I didn't even know it was Swiss Miss, and I'm like, don't tell me it's Swiss Miss. And you're like, oh my, it's Swiss Miss.
Oh man, yeah, good time.
I told you I used to eat that by the spoon, Swiss Miss. I used to just dump it in the cup and eat it right off the top of the water with the marshmallows.
Yeah,
that's what happened to me.
You're like, hey, if you want your kid to turn out like Devin, let him eat that Swiss Miss.
Oh man, yeah. So now we're officially on podcast number 7 of Hot Chocolate. But I'm having fun with it. Stilly Matt, thanks for the 199. Whittingham won't beat OSU. He will go 0-2 or 0-3. Amen. Yeah, getting over that hump, getting the monkey off our back, going to the big blouse, beating them the way we did. To me, I think that was it. That was it. The cheating scandal stuff and all that stuff is in the rearview mirror now. As far as Ryan Day's psyche, they got to come to the shoe next year with Fats Underwood underwhelming in the shoe. Oh yeah. Anything on that, Nevada?
Well, do you think Whittingham will be like sexting with OnlyFans models during halftime of the game?
I think that's a slim chance.
I think it's slim chance. Okay, but you're not saying no. You're not saying zero. There's a non-zero.
I'm saying there's a chance in my Lloyd Christmas.
He got smarter. Supposedly, he's going to have his assistants cover that for him during the game.
Well, yeah, he's more efficient. At least be efficient.
Yeah, it is way more. You have an intern, man. Have an intern.
Yeah.
I can't believe that actually, like, dude, like, if you, bro, I'm not trying to change this to a whole other pod. We're about to sign off. But man, just sitting back thinking about what this cat was doing, it's just like, bro, what is wrong with you? But anyway, I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to stop. But anyhow, let's get into last words before we can get out of here. I'm about to go make some guacamole and heat up my Rooster's wings. And what else I got up there? Potato skins. I'm going to have a nice little Super Bowl, little meal. But last words, Dev, on today's podcast before we get to the Super Bowl.
Now, the Buckeyes killing it on the recruiting trail. As always, they are evolving with how the game and the players are evolving. I'm going to be doing a show on a lot of juicy intel on how the NIL game is affecting college football right now. that Pete Nakos article, plus some stories I've heard. I haven't wanted to report on. I'm decided I'm going to do a show on those. And so once you guys understand how wild things truly are behind the scenes, it makes you have some more respect and appreciation for what Ohio State is able to do and sign 5 stars in this class. I expect them to have 5 or 6 5-stars in this 27 class as well. So Buckeyes rolling along, man. I'm excited with what Ryan Day's doing.
Hey, man. And when stars align, it's you asked if it was abuelas. It's abuelita? Abuelita? Yeah, I think that's how you say it. Abuelita. Anyway, Nevada, final words.
Yeah, no, Ohio State's leading the pack, but recruiting's changing. So as a fan, you're gonna have to change the way you're looking at these classes. Let's see how many 5-star. Let's see how many instant impact guys we can afford, and how many instant impact guys we can land, and that's going to tell the story of how good these classes are going to be.
Yep, I agree. Good stuff, guys. Always fun kicking it with y'all. Chat. We love y'all. The discussion, the chiming in, all of that, man. Let's get ready for a good game. Good game. Hopefully, some good commercials. And until next time, we love you, Buckeye School family, Buckeye Nation. Go Bucks. Peace.